It's time to talk about the greatest television show of all time. A show that is so renowned that it has garnered itself multiple names. The Game of Thrones of corporate America, the Breaking Bad of billionaire man-babies, the Attack on Titan of dysfunctional families.
Fuck you, man. Wait, stop it. Are you fucking insane?
Or simply, Succession. With the series now being finished, I think it's long overdue that I talk about why this show is a masterpiece, and why if you haven't watched it yet, then you absolutely should. Now I'm going to split this video into 3 parts. The first section will be spoiler free for the entire show. This is for those of you who haven't watched yet, and are perhaps interested in learning a bit more about what the show has to offer. This is basically a Succession pitch. The second part will be a general discussion of the show that can contain spoilers for the entire series up until the finale. And then lastly, I'll get into the spoilers for the finale itself. So if you still haven't had the opportunity to watch it yet, then don't worry about getting spoiled. There will be timestamps down below, and I'll also let you know when we switch to a new part. However, let's dive into why you should watch Succession. Now, you may have heard of Succession or seen it talked about before, and if you're like me, before I watched it, then you might think, this just looks like Suits, but billionaires rather than lawyers. And if you're like me and think that, then you'd be sorely mistaken. Succession is a show that will hook you pretty early on, and you won't really know why right away, because the characters aren't really likable, the dialogue is very snobby, and it's honestly pretty goofy at times. This is of course not a criticism, this is the point. There's reason to the madness, and there's absolutely madness to the reason as well. The actors in this show do a phenomenal job. You would not know that some of them aren't even American. They perfectly portray these out-of-touch, filthy rich, selfish, greedy assholes who look down on peasants like us, but somehow we begin to care about them. That's what this show does so well. It forces you to care about the worst people imaginable. It takes these unreachable moguls and dives deep into their very being. We grow to care for these characters because we see every part of them. We see their fuck-ups, we see their success, we see their insecurities, their tears, their smiles, their laughs. We go swimming in the lives of these monsters and we see the humanity behind the curtain. We grow envious of their pathetic lives because the writers, directors, actors, everyone involved in this show managed to portray something truly special. Nuance. Real nuance. And this is extremely vague, I know. It probably doesn't even make sense unless you watch it for yourself. So what I am trying to say is that if you enjoy character studies, then this show is perfect for you, because you get to explore the deep crevices of all these characters, including the character of corporate America itself. However, that's not all there is to Succession. If you aren't super interested in exploring deeply flawed characters, then you're still left with a very dramatic, but also hilarious show. This is not a comedy, but some of the situations or things that happen or that are said are some of the funniest things I can remember seeing in a TV show. This is at the same time such a serious show, but also a ridiculous show. And if all that still does not get you interested, then the theme song is an absolute classic. Whenever you hear this bad boy, you know something snivelly is going on. I have no clue whether this has been a good pitch or not. I wasn't sure what I was getting into before watching, and I probably wouldn't have given it a chance if not for my girlfriend repeatedly asking me to watch it. Don't make my mistake. Don't wait for your better half to make you watch Succession. Just go out there and watch it. If anything, it'll give you something to think about, for better or for worse. I'd highly recommend this show. It's a 10 out of 10 now that it's complete. However, now we're moving on to a general discussion, so there will be spoilers ahead mainly for season 4, but of course not the finale. Now I could go over the whole series head to toe, but that would take way too long, and people nowadays have the attention span of Greg. So I'll just touch on the finales of the first 3 seasons because they're really fucking good. Kendall crashing the car into the river leading to the boy's death was when this show really cemented itself to me. Everything was going great for Kendall. He was going to win against his father, but then his bad habits took over. He ruined it for himself, giving his dad leverage on him, and of course also becoming a murderer. This paved the way for Kendall's character arc in season 2, where he spends the whole season being a shell of his former self, riddled with guilt at what happened in the river, and this season has some truly iconic moments.
L to the OG, dude be the OG, and he playing.
And a person can fit through there. A person can definitely fit through that window. A small person, an attack child.
What the fuck? Thank you, Logan.
Tom?
Thank you for the chicken.
However, after the lengthy debate about who will be fed to the sharks to answer for Waystar's crimes, Kendall does a number on Logan. He turns the tides after his father sent him to the wolves, and seeing the smile on Logan's face was absolutely perfect. Kendall was back, and it was Civil War time, which leads us to Season 3, and this finale was incredible. Tom standing over Shiv is one of my favorite shots in the whole show. This completely changed their dynamic, and honestly, Tom was never the same again. He became hot. No, like seriously, what happened to Tom Wamsgans? My man had me feeling all kinds of ways in Season 4.
Naughty Daddy!
But Logan beating his children at the end was just inevitable, and at this point it felt like he was unstoppable, that no matter what happened, he would always win. And then came Connor's wedding in the third episode of Season 4. This episode will go down as one of the greatest episodes of television of all time. It's up there with the likes of Ozymandias and the Reigns of Castamere, and honestly, it might even be better. No one was expecting Logan to die. There was still so much of the season left, and it always felt like if they killed off Logan, then there wouldn't really be much left to do. However, the choice to kill off Logan so early on in the season was a fantastic choice, because it laid the foundation for the rest of the season, and everything that came after was pure cinematic peak. I didn't think the show would have the oomph without Logan, but him dying made me realize that this story is about the three siblings, and it always has been. They're the heart of the story, and that truly is nailed down this season. Everything that transpired after, from the trip to Sweden to the election night to the funeral, it was truly amazing filmmaking, and it all led up to this, the finale. And if you haven't watched it yet, then here's your warning. I spoil who wins the Succession in 3, 2, 1, it's Greg. Greg won the Succession. No, but in all honesty, I was shitting bricks waiting for this episode, because how could they possibly wrap up all the different threads that still seemed so loose? How could they make all this chaos make sense? I had full faith in the creators, but I had been let down before, Game of Thrones being the most prominent example, so I didn't want to put all my faith in this finale when I so desperately wanted nothing more than for this to be perfect. However, I can happily say that the Succession finale was indeed perfect. This episode was exactly what it needed to be. I've only watched it once, and I'm sure that there is a much deeper analysis I can make, perhaps some inconsistencies or threads left unthreaded, I don't know yet, and honestly, I don't care. This finale was exactly what it needed to be for me. But let me just get some of the big stuff out of the way first so we can talk about the heart of the episode. Tom Wamsgans won the Succession. What a fucking guy. If it hadn't been for my girlfriend predicting this when we made our bets earlier this season, I would never have seen that coming. But it made sense. It was the only real choice, and it's really cool that the Roys are now all out of Waystar. Well, except maybe Greg. I'm not really sure what his role will be now. Probably just Tom's lapdog, but I guess that was his destiny all along. Greg didn't lose, and he didn't win. He kinda just stayed where he has always been. He was bound to stay Greg for all eternity. And I think Greg's a really interesting case because he played the game and he sold his soul for what? He was never going to roll around with the big dogs. He is nothing compared to them. His ceiling and his floor is Greg. And that's poetic. Also, big W to Carolina for being so good at her job that it did not matter who won in the end. She knew she was just fine. And good on Connor and Willa too for making another golden appearance. I love these two, but I also do feel very bad for them, especially Willa. She's likely going to stay in that golden cage for the rest of her life. However, with everything that had been going on recently and this massive choice of the succession of Waystar Royco being made, I'm so glad the focus of the episode was on the siblings and their relationship. They could have spent a whole hour on just the board meeting, giving everyone their chance to make their case, and I'm sure it could have been really intriguing with a lot of drama. However, they opted for the better choice in my opinion, and that was to simply make the board meeting a plot device to allow us to explore this complicated family one last time. And truth be told, it left me not sad or euphoric or emotional like most good finales do. It rather left me feeling nothing. And trust me, in this case, that's not a bad thing. It might seem weird to say that the finale of a great show left you feeling empty, but that's the fucking beauty of Succession. There is no happy ending and there is no sad ending. There is only the melancholic bliss of seeing the success or downfall of these horrible, arrogant, selfish billionaires that we grew to love in this complicated way that only Succession could really pull off. It's truly a feeling that I will remember feeling for a long time, or I guess a lack of feeling that I won't remember feeling for a long time. I don't know. I'm confused. But the thing I really liked about this episode is that it spent so much time just focusing on these three. All the scenes of them at their mom's house warmed my heart, and again, it's weird to care about them when they're all kind of assholes. I mean, Kendall is a neglectful father and a killer who has traded his family for his ambition. Roman is a full-on bigot, or at least he's perfectly fine with bigotry and finds it amusing. He's insane. And Shiv's a selfish opportunist. At least she's the best of them, but they're all still billionaires who stomp on the suffering of millions. However, we still care, and there's no getting past that. Seeing them together again, laughing, making jokes, having fun together, it makes us forget all of their misgivings, and it felt satisfying. However, something had to go wrong. Everything seemed too perfect. The siblings teaming up, close to winning, it literally would have seemed way too perfect, and luckily for us, it did not last. Because this final scene with the three of them is a Succession masterclass. Roman having no fight left in him, just wanting this nightmare to finally be over, Shiv being conflicted but ultimately making a choice that she knew would break Kendall, and basically turn her into the spitting image of her mom, being the powerless wife to the CEO of Waystar, the thing she never wanted to become, and Kendall desperately trying to clutch on to the only thing he has ever been good at, the only thing that he believes makes him real. It was fucking heartbreaking. However, I truly believe that this was the best thing that could have happened to Kendall, and I think Shiv knew that. I think she believed that taking the succession away from Kendall could set him free, could set all of them free. However, it's now up to Kendall himself. He can choose to die alongside Waystar, or he can choose to make amends, become a better father, apologize to Rava, focus on his family. He has all the resources to live a fulfilling life, but perhaps the destiny that his father bore into his head from when he was 7 years old is too ingrained. Maybe Kendall is cursed to only be that, the successor. And now that he has lost the succession, he's nothing. Logan really fucked up his kids. And for what? He's dead now. The Roys don't own Waystar. And if he hadn't been the monster he was, perhaps his children could have been happy, and he could have spent his final moments surrounded by his loving family rather than his war council. All in all, Succession is a show that has no right being as good as it is. Whatever unhinged people decided that giving assholes humanity would be a good idea, I just want to say, thank you. You fucking did it, you crazy sons of bitches. The thing that truly amazes me about this show is how they made us care about these god-awful people. Almost all the characters in this show are horrible. They're so out of touch with the rest of the world, and yet we, the people who they wouldn't even look twice at, we, the people who get stomped on by people like them, end up caring about them. It's fucked up, but we can't stop watching. There's a level of humanity here. Within all the insanity and the chaos and the fucking scheming, there's humanity. My feelings after watching the finale match how I felt all the way throughout. Conflicted. I'm both satisfied and dissatisfied with how it ended. I want more, but why do I even want more? Why do I care about these characters? All I know is that I do care, and Succession is not a show that will leave my mind for a very long time, and I hope it doesn't. Succession is a masterpiece, a true 10 out of 10. Succession is a show that helps you remember why you fell in love with this art form to begin with. But enough dick riding Succession. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what you thought of the finale. This isn't the usual type of show I talk about on this channel. However, I watch a lot of other stuff than just Marvel or Star Wars, so if you want more videos like this, then let me know down below. But for now, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and fuck off!